Welcome to the second video from the first AlphaWeel. Then it makes sense that the word we're looking for starts with a B. It can mean a few things: a sauce, a cooking apparatus, or a social occasion that almost no one would miss, if the weather is fine, that is. This word really is an everyday word, nothing too far-fetched. Yep, we're about to talk about the origin of barbecue. Now, even if I said nothing too far-fetched, simply because I think that barbecue can be considered a word quite mundane, the word originally came from a land that's a little more remote than your balcony or your demented uncle's lawn. Okay, we saw seconds ago that barbecue can mean different things. I had kept a fourth one hidden away. I must confess that I was keeping it as a pretext, a good excuse to orient the content of this video. During research for this video, I found out that this extra meaning is chiefly an American way of speaking. Sorry, Brits. I'll use it all the same as an excuse to speak about an instance of linguistic magic. Do not fret though, you will learn about the etymology of the word barbecue, but I'd like to entertain you to a very special language trick. Let's start off with a rebus. If it's too short, of course, use the pause button to make more time. Well, I'm sure you've already guessed this one. 5th month of the year. Okay, so our second part is the first name of the most famous mafioso TV has ever spawned. The short version of his name, the 2-syllable version. So let's keep on discovering the etymology of barbecue. There's a strange myth that often sticks to this word's history. The anecdote is a perfect example of what linguists call popular etymology. Yes, you can often hear that driving a spike through a whole animal, from its beard to its ass, de la barbe au cul in French, or to its tail, de la barbe à la queue, ended in barbecue after years of mispronunciation. Well, if we are to believe language researchers, nothing is more remote from the truth. But now time has come to solve our rebus. Between April and June, I'm sure you had it right. Let's move on to the second part, where we're looking for Tony. He's the main protagonist of the TV series The Sopranos. And the last bit was me. As in, give it to me. Okay, so our puzzle's complete. The figure of speech I want to tell you about is called metonymy. Maybe you've already heard about it. However, let's go back to our main thread. Do you remember the whole story about being on a spike from beard to bottom? Linguists say that this myth came from a simple similarity in pronunciation. A similarity that's totally random. This way of reconstructing the origin of a word out of intuition really is what they call popular etymology. The word barbacoa was first found in Haiti in a language called Taïno. Later in this AlphaWeel, we'll talk about another English word with Taïno roots. According to my sources, which are listed below in the description, the first Europeans exposed to barbacoa were Spanish colonialists. Have you ever heard about Fernández de Oviedo y Valdés? He was an explorer and a historian. He's also known to be the first guy who drew a pineapple in his narrative La Historia Natural de las Indias. Also where you'll find the first mention to a barbacoa. Anyway, the word quickly took off. After Haiti, it can be found in the 17th century. Grilling animal meat on a barbecue became part of the American way of life. But what is a metonymy? Well, there are two parameters. First, you're using a word that is not exactly right. Second, the word you're using has a strong link, a logical link with the one it replaces. Let's take an example. When you say that you're having barbecue for dinner, you're doing metonymy. The first meaning of barbecue is indeed the grilling apparatus. But when you're having barbecue, what you're actually having is what is cooked in it. Of course, this is not the only way to do metonymy. Let's talk about other ways too. first type of metonymy. Traditionally, people write on paper. When an academic publishes an article, it's called a paper. Even if this paper was written on a laptop and only published on a website, still called a paper. This is a type of metonymy. Now to the second type of metonymy. You're actually using what contains to speak about what is contained. Let's drink a glass. Finish your plate. After eating your plate, the plate is still there. Now to the encounter of the third type of metonymy. The logical relationship that we have is between the whole and a small part. In our image, the whole is the car. But if you're showing off your new car by exclaiming to your posse, "Check out my wheels," you're using a part of your car, the wheels, to talk about the entire car. Makes sense, right? But using synecdoche the other way around is also possible. I mean, using the bigger part to only tell about a fraction of it. When you're saying that Italy won 8 gold medals in the 2016 Summer Olympics, you're obviously not implying that a country, or even the 60 million Italians individually, helped win the medals. You're using a metonymy to talk about the athletes who made it possible. You're basically using the bigger part, a country, to talk about a fraction of it, the winning athletes. Finally, let's wrap up with a fourth and final breed of metonymy. Please bear in mind that there are other types of metonymy out there, but I wanted to keep this video sweet and short. Let's dive straight into it with an example. When you're saying that your brother is first violin in Nowheresville Philharmonic, you're doing metonymy. It's indeed highly doubtful that your brother is actually a violin, isn't it? So what you're doing is basically replacing him by his function, first violinist, and more precisely, by his instrument of choice. The brother is replaced by his violin. Okay, so one thing we missed about our history of barbecue is actually, what was a barbacoa? Let's start off by building a fire. Maybe a larger one, shall we? Oh well, I have a feeling that we need to be more ambitious. More logs and more flames. That's better. Oh, so we're grilling fish today. Well, dead fish can fly even less than live ones, right? This is when we need a barbacoa. This wooden structure that has just appeared. Originally, barbacoa meant bed, because with no fire underneath, you could sleep on it. Then it was used to smoke or grill different foods. Okay, so now that we're clear about the history of the word barbecue, we can recap what we said about metonymy. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you're ready for the letter C coming up.